Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You have tuned into the Rebel News live stream on this, a Monday, December 8th, 2025. I'm David Menzies, and my co-host, well, let me tell you a little bit about my co-host, shall I? Folks, do you know that today is National Pretend to be a Time Traveler Day? And I asked her, are you going to celebrate it? And she said, I just don't have the time. See what I did there? She is the she-devil with a sword. She is the Khaleesi of Northern Alberta. She is the sensational Sheila Gunn Reid. Now, Sheila, here's the deal. You get a DeLorean equipped with a flux capacitor, and you're allowed to go back in time to one of the years to meet your younger self to give her advice. What is the year and what is the advice you give the young Sheila Gunn Reid?
Can it be me about 180 seconds ago intervening on you choosing out of all the things that you could have selected pretend to be a time traveler day? It's also Green Monday. It's also National Blue Collar Day. And the site that I look at this stuff on, they very, very DEI choice for their blue collar. What do you think of when you think of blue collar people?
Oh, I think of the salt of the earth. I have been advocating for the trades for decades, Sheila. You want your child to do well, don't put them into gender studies class because the only job you'll get is as a gender studies teacher, and those don't exist. Become an electrician, a carpenter, an electrician.
A pipe fitter like my beautiful young son.
Exactly.
But this website that I go and check what day it is today before you say what day it is, they selected a confused looking sassy black lady as they're like, she's like, ooh, I wonder what this day is all about, wearing hearing protection. I'm like, I guess.
It's remarkable. And by the way, I'll tell you my answer to the one-time DeLorean trip, Sheila. It's to go back to 1980 and put the kibosh on me selling my comic book collection.
How did I know that was going to be it? How did I know?
It bugs me to this day, Sheila, just to buy a used Chevy Camaro, because I would have told my younger self, no, the ostensible policy reason of trying to get a date in high school, it's not going to work. The car's going to fail. And that comic book collection today, you get a brand new Lamborghini off the lot. So do not sell the collection. There you go.
Let's tell everybody what we're doing here, and then we have to tell everybody about how my best friend is an acclaimed LGBTQI plus children's author.
I love it.
It is the biggest troll that she and I have ever pulled off on anybody ever. And boy, I think the left is going to be real mad at us, and you know how I feel about that. It's like Christmas come early. But if you're watching us on Rumble, thank you for watching us on a great free speech platform. If you want to get involved in the show, you can leave a Rumble rant. That's our paid chat. If it's over the $5 US cutoff, guess what? We're reading it and reacting to it on air. If it's under that, we'll do our very best, time permitting, to get to it. Over on YouTube, which remains a censorship platform, same rules apply. Their paid chat is called a super chat. And if you miss the live version of the show, but you are still moved by the spirit of generosity to support the little network that doesn't take a penny in federal money, you can leave a super thanks. That's their paid comment. Now, I want to show you all this tweet. X post, I should say, from the boss man, Ezra Levant. This happened over the weekend with zero promotion at all. And this is just it's a dream that Lisa and I had like 2 years ago when she showed me this thing she wrote on her typewriter, because she had sort of canceled herself from the internet over just the backlash of saying stuff about Gillette and their nonsense when they went woke.
Oh, yes.
But she wrote this thing on her typewriter and she said, what do you think about this? I said, that's an excellent children's book. Let's do a children's book. And it sort of percolated on the back burner and never felt like the time was right. And then, well, she turned it into a children's book, and Rebel News is the publisher. It's called Buck the Rainbow Unicorn. And the cover looks let's actually, you know what? Let's just show it's 90 seconds. Go back. Let's just show this from the start. The choice of a unicorn wearing lipstick is very purposeful on the cover because I think it ensnared some LGBTQAI plus activists into accidentally buying wholesome stuff for their kids. So let's watch Lise talking about her book.
Hey everybody, I'm Lise Merlin. I want to tell you about a darling little book I wrote for these crazy times, where truth and reality are now optional. On a wide open prairie farm lives Buck, a loyal and gentle horse who's good at just about everything. But one day his well-meaning barnyard buddies start filling his head with big ideas, like maybe he isn't a horse at all. Maybe he's a rainbow unicorn. Buck tries to keep up, but something doesn't sit right, and eventually he remembers the one place where truth isn't confusing and love isn't conditional. Home. Because Buck's family knows him best. They know he's not a unicorn. He's a wonderful horse. Strong, steady, and perfect the way he is. And that love gives him the courage to ignore the noise and just be himself. Buck the Rainbow Unicorn is a prairie fable for our times. A gentle and charming story that helps little ones understand that who they are is enough, and that the people that love them most aren't the ones trying to turn them into something they're not. Share this story with the little ones in your life just in time for Christmas. It's a book to spark discussions and remind them that home is where the truth lives, and that they are loved just the way they are. Get your copy today at bucktherainbowunicorn.ca.
You know, Sheila, as I said in the morning meeting, I first came across Lise Merle's Buck the Magic Unicorn.
Rainbow.
The Rainbow
Not
Unicorn,
magic.
sorry, last week. And I knew it was about family values. And I thought to myself, this is such a misleading title. It is such misleading cover art, only to be informed that, yeah, and it's intentional because you're going to get the blue and green haired LGBTers out there to buy this, maybe by the caseload. And to have a hidden camera at their reaction when it goes completely contrary to what the cover indicates. That is brilliant marketing. I just hope one thing, it comes with the proviso, no refunds.
You know what? And that was the thing. So kids like mine, kids like Lisa's kids, and Lisa's a mom of 6. Oh, by the way, the book is full of Easter eggs. Like the art in it has, it scenes from the Arcola rodeo where she and I have gone together, and it's her hometown in Pence, Saskatchewan serves as the backdrop for where Buck lives. Like it's her hometown, like her little tiny hometown in Saskatchewan where she was born. But the point is that my kids, her kids, your kids, they don't need this. Like, yes, it's wonderful to buy it for our children to reinforce those family values as like a reminder. Those pigs waving the rainbow flags, they're not your friends. They don't know you like your mom and dad do. And, there's a page in the book where you can sort of have a little discussion with your little ones and meet them where they're at. But it's for the blue-haired moms, the Transhausen by proxy mommies who are using their kids as an extension of their own radical progressive politics. Those little ones need this book more than anybody else.
100%. And Sheila, I don't know if you and Lise have had conversations in this regard. Do you think that when the awareness happens that this book ain't what it seems for
Oops, accidentally wholesome.
Yep. Do you think we are going to get media coverage about it, the usual suspects crying to their trained seals in the mainstream media?
100%.
Well, you know what?
100%.
Talk about the Christmas miracle, because there's no such thing in this case as bad publicity. Just spell the names right, and this is fantastic.
I can't wait for it. I can't wait for the backlash, actually. But when the backlash does come, I think we're going to need some help from our friends at home. You guys, I have to tell you, over the weekend, we became the #1 publisher in the world.
What?
Of LGBTQ children's literature. So I think it was in Canada over the weekend, and we did zero promotion of it whatsoever. Just Lise did a video that launched Saturday morning, and by Sunday morning, it was the #1 LGBTQ children's book. I'm appalled to know that there's such a category, but it was the #1. And then I think it attained that internationally. But yeah, oops, accidentally wholesome. Once they open this up and read to their little ones, they're going to be accidentally insulating their kids from their own bad ideas. And if you want a copy, it's bucktherainbowunicorn.com. You'll have it in 2 days.
You know, Sheila, this is very important what you said, because for it to go #1 in such a short period of time in the category of LGBTQ, etc., for children's books, which I didn't even know existed as a category.
Right, gross.
That means to me, the people promoting it, putting it into #1, didn't even read the book. It's like they're a liberal cabinet minister, not reading the actual contract with a private sector company getting billions of dollars. I mean, that's the only way I can explain that. And you know what? It's not War and Peace. It's a children's book. How long would it have taken them just to read that book?
I don't know. I think because it's new, and once, a couple people, I'm sure, because it's new, but also because people were buying it because they saw Lisa's video launching it over the weekend, it sort of had momentum, and then it was served up to more people as like higher in the listings, and then all of a sudden it just took off. We could show that video of Lise being just so excited. She's absolutely living her dream right now, being a children's author, acclaimed LGBTQ plus children's author. Lise Merle.
Brilliant.
My little book, Buck the Rainbow Unicorn, is officially an Amazon #1 bestseller.
So excited.
BuckTheRainbowUnicorn.com. Buck the Rainbow Unicorn on Amazon. Buck the Rainbow Unicorn, wherever you can find them. Oh my word.
Oh, goodness me.
You know, Sheila, the risk of violating human resources protocol, I absolutely adore and love Lise Merle.
Ditto.
And you know, my best Christmas memory from last year was that after our office Christmas party, taking you and Lise on a little mini tour of Toronto, went to the fabulous St. Lawrence Market, and then we went to the Bridle Path, which if Toronto was a monopoly board, folks, the Bridle Path would be Boardwalk. And just hearing Lise Merle sound like a teenage girl looking at $48 million mansions, gasping and oohing and awing. And you know what? I'll put this out to I want to do that again this week when you come into Toronto. So, folks, where would you like me to bring these two Westerners, Sheila Gunn Reid and Lise Merle, in the GTA? What would be the best or maybe the worst sight for them to endure? Because I just love being a chauffeur for those two ladies that day.
Can we walk, though? As you know, I had to have you pull over because I was car sick.
Well, that was only on the Don Valley Parkway.
The stop and go traffic in Toronto, it's terrible. My ears are my Achilles heel, my inner ear. I'm very vulnerable.
I don't get you, Sheila. You can skin alive a rabid wolverine. You're a huntress, and yet curvy highways like the Don Valley Parkway and catacombs, as I discovered in Israel with you, turn you into
also
a basket case, and I don't get it.
Claustrophobic. I can't. Don't get me in a confined space. I'll fight you.
So now we know why you live where you live, out in the middle of nowhere, and it's flat.
Wide open. Well, it's not so flat. Wide open spaces. Nothing over my head. Even mountains make me claustrophobic because it's just, they're above me. Anyway, now that everybody knows how to attack me, just put a bag over my head, spin me in a circle. Let's get into the news of the day now that we have discussed how they can help us become the #1 LGBTQ plus children's publisher in the world. Actually, I would love to see that just at the top of the children's books. I don't think it should be in a very special category because it's just some wholesomeness meant for little ones. But anyway, we'll see where we're at tomorrow after we do a little bit more promotion of it. Let's go into foreign policy.
Okay.
Foreign Policy Canada just absolutely got roasted over the weekend. They say dissenting voices disappearing from your feed. The phone calls coming from inside the house. It might not be an accident. Some foreign regimes silence critics through takedowns, legal threats, and intimidation campaigns. Learn their tactics and think before you share. That's from Foreign Policy Canada. I have public order emergency commission documents. I actually tweeted them back to them, where the PCO, so the Privy Council office, the chief bureaucrats around the Prime Minister, which would have been Justin Trudeau at the time, were getting Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter at the time, I believe, to pull down convoy-related posts for hate. Now, we all know what hate is to the Liberal government. Anything they don't like, obviously. So, as I said, the phone calls coming from inside the house. It's a little bit rich for these guys to be bringing in. Oh, why is my flag moving? Cat. It's a little bit rich for these guys to be bringing in Bill C9 and then complaining online about foreign governments doing that which they are doing to Canadians by policing their online speech. So yeah, these are the PCO documents. These are evidence. These were sitting in evidence. I tried to appeal these redactions. They said, we can't. They're transitory, which means they're not important. So why did you redact them? But if you show the one thing that they didn't redact there, if you want to click on that and zoom in, the one thing that they left in all their black redaction censorship was, hey, we reached out to these platforms to censor Canadians.
You know, this is astounding, and I love the phone calls coming from inside the house, a fantastic reference to a little low-budget Canadian movie gem, Black Christmas, that came out in the early 70s. I won't say anything more. I don't want to spoil it if anyone hasn't seen it. But, you know, Sheila, the important thing here, as you said, this censorious crap is going on before the passage of Bill C9 into law. Can you imagine what it will be like when the government does have that mandate? And clearly, we know what's at play here. They've bought off the mainstream media. Now they got to go after the dissenting voices out there, i.e. the independent press, and anyone who has a conscience going on to social media. So the carrot has been replaced by the stick.
It's worse than that, because it's not just them censoring you on social media platforms. Bill C9 will criminalize your speech. Particularly, It will criminalize your speech inside of your own church.
Correct.
So if people want to learn more about that, sign our petition, they can go to protectreligiousfreedom.ca. But we already know, like, misgendering someone will land you in front of a human rights tribunal in some instances in this country. So that's enough to ruin your life, mess you up for a long time, and quite potentially force you to pay onerous fines and pay for your own prosecution. But this now criminalizes your speech. And not just criminalizes your speech, criminalizes speech that has historically been protected. So, you know, a priest in my church talking about transgenderism and how it violates the first commandment and the fourth or fifth commandment, depending on where you are on the Protestantism, Catholicism scale. If that could be criminalized, and then you could have priests arrested. Right now, they can already get in serious trouble for counseling people against their certain sexual predilections. This can criminalize the things they say from the pulpit.
This is incredible, Sheila. And I mean, if misgendering is going to actually be a formal crime, I guess I'm due for the electric chair. I mean,
straight to the slammer.
You know, I'm so sorry, folks, but when I see a guy, or let's say a person with the genitalia of a penis, and I call that person a man as opposed to a woman, well, I guess I'm a heretic in Mark Carney's Canada. But then again, this is a prime minister who has a daughter pretending to be his son. So that's the template moving forward, it would seem. Did I just say something that might get me in trouble with a human rights tribunal?
Well, and also in trouble on YouTube, please. So let's just
Uh-oh.
dial her down. Let's go into the next thing. Yes. Because this is Foreign Policy Canada warning us against this stuff while doing this stuff. We've got a Quebec YouTuber of Chinese descent who was harassed by the Chinese government. Now, it's the Chinese government, so we know the feds aren't going to do anything about it because the Chinese government helps them elect their idiots, like Han Dong. So for this young lady, the Chinese government circulated sexually explicit deepfakes of her. So it would have, for all intents and purposes, I hate when people say that wrong. I don't want to be someone who does it. Reputationally harming, deeply embarrassing, sexualized deepfakes of her.
How is the Chinese government in the first place, Sheila, getting involved with Quebec-based YouTubers to begin with? She's
a dissident. She said, I'm with Taiwan, I'm with the Uyghurs, I'm with Hong Kong, I'm against the Chinese government. And she is an accountant from McGill, and she began, doing her YouTube thing on YouTube. And she was critical of the CCP and Xi Jinping, and all of a sudden they came for her, and just damaged her reputation. And none of them were her.
Unbelievable. And you know what? She probably knows this more than anyone. Should she go back to China, it's curtains for her. I mean, if the Chinese government will go to this length to attack her while she is a resident of Quebec, could you imagine if they actually physically had her in their clammy hands? And I mean, how gross is that? Pretending that, I don't know, a version of pornography of her is actually her. And by the way, Sheila, me being a bear of very little brain, how does this get past all the algorithms? How does this get past all the, censorious or family-friendly guardians out there? Remember that time, Sheila, it was Alex and I, we went down to, it was about the encampment at Dufferin-Bloor Park being taken down, and men and women were walking around, the usual suspects in terms of the lunatic fringe with their tops off. And there was one guy who was very porky, shall we say. He basically had man boobs, and YouTube told us, you gotta blur those, even though it wasn't female mammary glands, it was his own. And people in the comments, it was funny, that was savage, Rebel News, blurring his chest like that. No, we were told by YouTube. So the point I'm getting to, in a roundabout fashion as per usual, if we have to go through that scrutiny, how does this kind of crap get by?
If you look at what she's saying it was being posted on X, so the uncensored platform, and it was being posted in response to posts from Justin Trudeau. So these widely seen posts, and so that a lot of people would see it, and it was being put there by Chinese bots. But don't worry, the federal government won't do anything about it. She can just get on the pile with other ethnically Chinese dissidents like Kenny Chu, who is the subject of a targeted misinformation campaign, so that, I forget his name. Anyways, a Liberal MP was the benefit of it in...
Dong?
In Richmond. No. Kenny Chu is in British Columbia.
Okay.
And he lost his riding after a disinformation campaign, which was organized on WeChat against him. and shoot, I can't remember the liberal mental lightweight who won instead of him. And then Jenny Kwan was the subject of this. So, I mean, it goes across all parties. As long as you are critical of the Chinese government, they're going to come for you.
But Sheila, I think this goes beyond disinformation. I think this is good old-fashioned defamation. If somebody were to take your likeness and put it all over social media.
Don't give them any ideas. Don't give them any ideas, please.
No, but in all seriousness, I think that meets the benchmark of defamation.
Sure. I think, but the thing is, revenge porn is illegal.
Exactly.
Right? Like, so we don't need new laws for this, because the liberals are going to look at this. If they do anything about it, they're going to say, we need more laws to censor what happens on social media. We have a law for this.
100%.
Use that law and deal with this. But if they do that, they're going to have an international incident on their hands.
So we have revenge porn laws for this. We have defamation civil actions for this. I guess maybe it's a no-hoper going against the regime in China, but I think this meets the benchmark. They have done everything possible in their power to defame this lady in Quebec.
Of course they did. Of course they have. But what's I guess at the end of the day, what are the liberals going to do about it? They will use this to censor Canadians and not to help her.
Yeah, and maybe there's another example of why, blackface has a certain degree of admiration in his heart for the way the Chinese government gets things done like this, defaming Canadians. Unbelievable.
Let's move ahead to the next thing. Young Canadians increasingly figuring out math, I guess. Young Canadians increasingly tie immigration to home affordability problems, survey finds. Yeah, no kidding. Canadians' attitudes towards immigration are the most negative they've been since the early 1990s, driven particularly by young people linking high migrant inflows to affordability and a housing shortage. Of course. They say recent survey results have particularly stood out because of a pointed negative shift in attitudes towards immigration after more than 2 decades of mostly pro-immigration sentiment across the country. This prompted the researchers to conduct a historical analysis of immigration attitudes in Canada to gauge when previously Canadians held such a negative view. It's almost like young people are embracing the proven laws of supply and demand. Yep. We have supply and demand affects your wages, it affects housing, it affects your access to healthcare, it affects everything. And I'm very glad to see them figuring it out. Well, now we have to do something about it.
Well, every time I do a story on an encampment, on a refugee hotel, for example, I always ask the rhetorical question, how do we fight the war on poverty when we import the world's poor? And in the process, put them up in 3- and 4-star hotels, including those in Niagara Falls, Canada's top tourist destination. But yeah, the sad reality in certain markets in Canada, the Greater Toronto Area, Vancouver, for a young person, even making 6 figures right out of school, you can't get into the housing market. You just can't. Even and that is why, I mean, my own 2 sons years ago moved 5 hours down the 401 to Windsor, Ontario to buy a house, because I can tell you this, that house they have in Windsor, Sheila, would cost 4 times as much in Toronto. And yes, they'll be paying it off for another 30 years, mark my words, unless, of course, there's some kind of UNDRIP announcement to come and, somebody from the federal government says, oh, you don't actually own that. So sorry that you busted your ass for 30 years paying off your mortgage. But that is the reality. There are certain areas of this country that are completely unaffordable for our youth. And it breaks my heart, because what are they to be? Stay at home forever, to be renters forever? That's just not right.
Sounds like that report that predicted multiple families living in the same home with a forever mortgage, the 2040 report, the doomsday report, where people would be strangling ducks in the local public park to make ends meet. That was one of the things that those bureaucrats feared would be the case in that report. Now, you say that that's an Ontario problem, and I agree with you, because my hardworking son and his beautiful bride live in a bit of a McMansion in Fort Saskatchewan, and I bet you it would cost like $3 million in Toronto, and it's just your standard suburban house out here.
Oh, even without seeing it, I know it would, Sheila. And the report you speak of, this is very important. To me, this was the most overlooked, underreported story of the year. Certainly Pierre Poilievre on the campaign trail alluded to it, but it was a Privy Council report, not some guy on internet just, blue skying. And what Sheila's talking about was 2040, which is less than 15 years away. Canada is basically a dystopian society. The rich have either fled to other countries or they're living in fortified, gated communities. And the rest of us are foraging and illegally hunting and illegally fishing just for the bare necessities. 2040. And like I said, this is a Privy Council report. This is shocking, Sheila. And you know what? I got to tell you, when I drive around this great dominion of ours, 2040 is here already in certain communities. I mean, you go to Hamilton, I can't believe the number and the size of the homeless encampments there. It is right out of a zombie apocalypse movie. And I'm not saying that to be funny or to be mean. I'm just telling the truth.
Yeah. Look at this. In 2040, people will see inheritance as the only reliable way to get ahead. Owning a home is not a realistic goal for many. In 2040, try in 2025. Yeah. Some take out intergenerational mortgages and have several generations of family living together. Others enter alternative household mortgages with friends. A growing percentage of homeowners also own rental properties. They oppose policies to expand the housing supply or freeze rents. And you understand why people would be like that, because you got to rent something out at a high rate to pay for the place you're already living in. Inequality between those who rent and those who own has become a key driver of social, economic, and political conflict. Brother, we're already here. And liberal policies are making it worse. I wrote this up this morning in the series of order paper questions that came in, and I raced nice and early to beat Blacklock's to it. But the housing ministry did zero analysis on how international students impact housing. They're coming here. You're giving them hundreds of thousands of study permits to study at fake driving schools. And you never even considered, where are we going to put them all? They never even thought of that. And so now we have this housing crisis in places where these fake training schools are. Toronto, I'm looking at you. And they didn't even look. They've never even considered it. The kids are figuring out supply and demand. I'm curious why the government isn't.
And places like beautiful Brampton, the fiefdom of sneaky Patrick Brown. I think at last count, Sheila, we counted more than 90 bogus diploma mills there.
Holy moly.
Yeah. And, typically you'll go to a strip plaza, and on the top story, the second story, is an immigration lawyer or immigration consultant office. So you see, it's like one-stop shopping, right? And what's happening all over Canada right now, especially from those from India, and don't say I'm being racist, because I'm getting a lot of this information from a great source in the Indian community who is himself Indian. He goes by the name of Ted Smith, not his real name, of course. But they are having demonstrations sometimes on a daily basis at the legislatures across Canada demanding permanent residency. And in some cases, they're getting it, Sheila. Like, you were never meant to be a citizen. There's, the T word, temporary, that means you got to go back. Right?
That was another thing that I wrote up. And Blacklock's has a portion of this in his story, because I did race to beat Blacklock's, because I have such healthy competition with Blackhawks. They don't even know I exist. But I'm out there
I'm sure you're wrong about that.
Oh, I'm out there trying to beat them anytime these order paper questions come in. But there are 1 million foreign students in this country. 1 million. And so according to Blackhawks, the Department of Immigration acknowledges it let in 1 million foreign students into the workforce without ever studying the impact on Canadian students. So I wrote up a version of this, and a lot of these students that you could see in the order paper question, they're working 30 hours a week. So if you wonder why we have a high youth unemployment rate, it's not just the temporary foreign workers, it's the temporary foreign students. Also, a full 1 million of them, they're working at least 30 hours a week. That's technically full-time, effectively full-time. So why do we have like 16 to 20% youth unemployment rate? Right there. Not because our young people aren't just competing with cheap labor from the third world. They're competing with the students who are also competing with them at their own universities.
And what's even more despicable are those corporations, Sheila, that have 0.0 problem with this, i.e. Tim Hortons.
Yep. Tim Hortons.
Gaming the system to get low-wage servitude at their restaurants. I think that's despicable, given that Tim Hortons is a multi-billion-dollar concern.
Yeah, we're different than in Dubai. Like, Dubai has a temporary foreign worker underclass there. But that's because the Emiratis who live there are wealthy and they don't really want to work in the corner store.
Yep.
So they bring in a temporary foreign workforce that is actually larger than the Emirati nationals. But the Emiratis, their wages are not being suppressed by it. Our wages are being suppressed. We are being unemployed by this. I don't know why this hasn't stopped. In fact, Michelle Rempel asked that question, I think it was on Friday at committee, where she was like, so why haven't you stopped the temporary foreign worker program? It's stupid. Yeah. and Lena Diab was very confused by it all. She just didn't seem to understand what her job is, our immigration minister.
Well, I do understand it, Sheila. When it comes to the corporate angle, you follow the money, don't you? And we did a video. It's a Tim Hortons at the Yonge and Lawrence in North Toronto. We found, this is how the scam works. They post a job, allegedly, saying we need a worker getting, I think it was either $30 or $35 an hour. Let's just say $30 an hour. I'll tell you, I know a ton of people that would grab that job in a nanosecond. But you see, we can't find anybody. So we need a temporary foreign worker. Oh, and by the way, when they come over into the Tim Hortons, they're not getting $30 an hour.
No.
And by the way, they dare not complain about shifts or hours or anything, because they're under the thumb of the employer. They can say, hey, if you make things difficult for us, we're going to pull the chute and you're going to go back to India. So this is absolutely despicable. And I'm surprised that it's not getting the attention it deserves. I mean, yes, here and there, we do pieces about it. The National Post in June had a great story, front page story, the death of the summer job. Imagine that, Sheila. That used to be, a rite of passage, wasn't it? That in the summer between years at school or, whether it was high school or university, you'd get a summer job. It doesn't exist anymore. I've met kids that have put out 80, 90 resumes and they get butted, not even an acknowledgement of that resume.
I wrote up an order paper question in the wee hours of this morning. 44 employees were convicted of illegally hiring ineligible foreign workers since 2020.
Wow.
Guess who's on that list?
Tim Hortons?
That's right. So, we've got 178 workers were involved in a single 2021 prosecution. 76 workers were tied to 2024 absolute discharges. So these guys are getting almost a slap on the wrist
Unbelievable.
Absolute or conditional discharges, probation, charitable donations, community service, and fines as low as $2,500 per offense, even in multi-worker cases. Now, they can get penalties of up to $400,000. If you wanted to deter modern slavery, you might do that, but they don't seem to take this all that seriously. And I did list a few, including the Tim Hortons. And the order paper question listed a few people by name. Oh, the Peace River Dairy Queen. Well, I will never be patronizing there again. But anyway, they listed a few, and then the other ones, they said there's privacy concerns. And I'm like, they are peddling in modern slavery. What do you mean there's privacy concerns? But anyway, there's a few there. If people recognize a list or a company there, maybe don't patronize them.
You know, wouldn't you think, Sheila, that the left, whether it's the left-wing media or the public service unions, they'd be all over this?
You'd think. I mean,
so what's going on here?
Yeah. Yeah, like you would think that they would be remotely concerned about exploitation and slavery, but
yeah.
No. Remember when the left used to be in it for the worker?
Yeah.
When did that switch? A long time ago, actually, I think. The unions are in it for the union bosses and not the unionized employees.
100%. And, of course, the green agenda, right?
Right, gross.
Goes against the blue-collar agenda, unfortunately.
Right, the people who build things.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got this quick clip before we hit an ad break from Jamil Javani, who is rookie MP, but just wonderfully outspoken on the issue of religious freedom. Yep. And he says, there are, did I say it was a video? It's not a video. It's a post. Posting. Yeah. There are people who spend a lot of time antagonizing Canadians, Christians, Muslims, and Jews to fight with each other over foreign conflicts. I'm not focused on foreign conflicts. I'm focused on Canada. In Canada, Christians, Muslims, and Jews face a common challenge: liberal cultural imperialism. Liberals in positions of power label our religions as hateful, culturally divide parents from their children through school curricula, fail to keep our places of worship safe, threaten to criminalize parts of our scriptures, and give the government power to intrude upon our private religious lives. It would be great to see Canadian Christians, Muslims, and Jews work together in our democracy to resist liberal cultural imperialism. I believe this can help unite our country and build strong families in healthy communities. I ask humbly, please avoid the temptation to make foreign conflicts the center of our politics. I'm trying, but tell it to the people on the steps of the cathedral in Montreal. When it comes to trade and economic relationships, we must work with other nations, but as Canadians, we also must be very careful about the wars in other nations distracting us from solving our problems at home.
Oh, yeah.
Fair enough.
And Sheila, tell it to the people in the Jewish community of Bathurst and Shepherd, which for more than 2 years now, the Hamassols chanting genocide, displaying swastikas, cosplaying as Sinwar, the terrorist mastermind, and and on cold days we'll get refreshments delivered via the cops' Timbits and coffee. Prepared, of course, with love by a temporary foreign worker.
Right, an exploited temporary foreign worker. I mean, yes, I do believe that we should not be bringing this tribalist cultural nonsense to the streets of Canada. But I think asking us to unite with people who are protesting our churches is not the best way to go about this. You should be asking the government to enforce the existing laws while resisting the urge to censor the rest of us.
And by the way, Sheila, I love what Jamil Javani did in terms of political or ideological judo, calling it liberal cultural imperialism.
It is, though.
Because those cats, they love talking about imperialism. They love talking about colonialism. And then Mr. Javani just took that rhetoric and used it against the left. Well done, sir.
Yeah, they'll call him racist, though. For sure. It's a privileged white guy, Jamil Javani. Yeah. Let's hit an ad break. We'll come back on the other side. We've got, let's see if we can make it through the crime stuff.
Okay.
And then we'll do the daily cringe. Recidivist, speaking of crime, Olivia Chow's back at her, making me cringe, full body cringe. Just Yuck. Anyways, let's hit an ad break. We'll be right back.
You like the hat? Me too. Same strong message about making Canada great again, but in a really cool color, black and gold. There's other colors available, and it's an all-Canadian site. So if you want to signal your tribe or trigger a Liberal, go to mcgahats.ca today.
Gun bans make great distractions.
Trudeau may be gone, but Carney has picked up his same
We
rhetoric.
will quickly, and I mean quickly, reinvigorate the buyback of...
Hunters, collectors, competitors, and defenders of tradition are still being targeted, while criminals run wild under Liberal policy. But we are fighting back. Join us, Canada's National Firearms Association, in defense of freedom.
Canadians know the national anthem. They stand in silence to remember those who died for this country. But not every Canadian knows their rights and freedoms. The Freedom Passport will change that. It looks and feels like a Canadian passport, but contains the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms in a portable, easy-to-read format. The Freedom Passport. Order one for yourself and for all the freedom lovers that you love at freedompassport.ca.
Okay, and Sheila, I see the first headline under the crime file. Ostrich deepfakes and online
deep
threats forced agency to lock social media. Gee, that sounds serious. What do you have for us?
Okay, but before we move on, I want to tell everybody that there is a special deal right now at rebelnewsstore.com. The code is RebelXmas, so XMAS, for 15% off. So order right away if you want your Rebel News Christmas shirt, or your Christmas mug, and if you want things to arrive before Christmas, because Canada Post, am I right? So don't go right now, but put a pin in it and then go right after the live stream to start putting your stuff in your Christmas cart so you can get it in time for Christmas. All right. Ostrich deepfakes. So, geez, what I think is funny is you scroll down, the National Observer is funded by the federal government, and then they also want you to donate.
I think that's called double dipping, isn't it?
You know what? Pick a lane. Canada's Food Inspection Agency locked down its social media accounts for weeks this spring after they were slammed with hundreds of hateful and threatening comments and deep fakes featuring employees' faces.
Now, why would that be?
It's almost like people objected to murdering completely healthy ostriches. The onslaught came immediately after a federal judge ruled in May the agency could cull a herd of ostriches in Edgewood, BC to control an avian flu outbreak months earlier. That court ruling fueled a months-long battle pitting the agency against the farmers and their allies, a group that included, this is funny, far-right Freedom Convoy influencers, health nuts. What does that mean? Health nuts.
I thought...
Is that me?
Wait a minute, Sheila. I thought you're not allowed, if they're using the word nut to describe mental illness, I thought nut was offside. That's what I've been told for decades now.
For sure. I think that was in that list of like CBC's words that you can't use. Do you remember that? One of them was brainstorm.
Oh, yes.
We wouldn't want to offend the people who work at CBC without a brain in their head. And then anti-vaxxers and U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. This is like reads like those articles where they talk about like being pro-family and pro-fitness means you're far right.
Oh, yes. And
Anyway.
And Sydney Sweeney is a white supremacist because they're doing a play on words regarding the word genes, Jeans and Genes. Yeah, so
They look at this. In a briefing note written sometime after June 6, 2025, and outlining the agency's phased reopening of their social media accounts. It's just an X account. Like, you know what I mean? Just settle down. It shows the vitriolic onslaught started months earlier. Following a court order on May 13th for the CFIA to call the ostriches at a BC farm, there was a spike in online abuse and threats, particularly on X and Facebook in the first 24 hours. More than 550 comments were posted, many of them violating the CFIA's terms of use or directly threatening staff. Okay, so did you report any of this to the police? Because the CFIA's terms of use for their social media accounts mean absolutely nothing to me.
Yeah.
I don't care about that. But if there were physical threats, you can go to the police.
Yes.
And deal with that. So did you or not?
Yeah. And that does cross the line. But essentially, Sheila, what these bureaucrats at the CFIA are so concerned about is harsh language.
Right.
Meanwhile,
did people being disagreeable with killing the ostriches.
Meanwhile,
sorry, you're going to get
Is there
it.
a single Rebel News reporter who hasn't been roughed up by the usual suspects in the field? As in physical, as in getting haymakers thrown at us, right? But these cats... Oh, I didn't like what he said. We got to shut down our social media. And as Sheila said, folks, I'll never advocate, somebody using the threat of harm or death. But as Sheila said, go to the police. That is offside, and there's a way of finding out who these people are. So, I'm really. That Shakespearean term, Sheila, methinks the lady doth protest too much.
Yeah. I'll just, last week, one of the nicer hate comments I got was that somebody said I looked like a more masculine version of Michael Jackson.
Oh, come on. There's nothing masculine about you.
I can have a little bit of a masculine vibe, and that's okay, whatever. As the left says, we shouldn't pigeonhole people into certain gender expressions along the binary, but then they're the first ones to say, you look like a dude, you talk like a dude, you don't wear enough makeup, so whatever, who cares? But yeah, exactly, who cares? Because we're out there getting punched in the face. It's the dumbest thing. If you have a social media account, people are going to send you things you don't want to hear. Who cares? Who cares? I didn't see, and I haven't seen it yet, but I see it's in the headline. Let's get to Alexa's reporting.
Okay.
Maybe we could just show the video of where Alexa is, if you would be so kind, because, sorry, Olivia, let's just show, where she landed on the ground, because she left in within super short order, flew all the way to the site of a potential, we don't know all the details yet, Christmas attack. And she's on the ground trying to get answers. We don't know what those answers are. I mean, you don't know till you get there, but we wanted to make sure that we were getting the straight goods from the people on the ground. And so Alexa and Guillaume went there to this French territory. And so we've got French language journalists. So let's roll the little clip of her after she landed, telling us what she was doing.
Alexa Lavoie here with Rebel News, reporting from Guadeloupe. We have crossed the ocean on a special mission to uncover the truth behind the tragedy that struck Saint-Anne last Friday when a man drove into the Christmas market around 7:30 p.m., injuring several attendees, including children waiting in line at a food truck. Few media outlets have reported on this story, and misinformation is spreading online. Some claim there were fatalities, while others mention only injuries. Some call it a terrorist attack, others point to negligence, noting that the 45-year-old driver tested positive for cannabis and alcohol. But why did this happen on the night of Saint-Anne's Christmas illuminations? Why that location where families and children were gathered? These are questions we are determined to answer. Christianity is under attack worldwide, and Christmas markets have tragically been targeted in past acts of terror. That's why we are here. We cannot rely on the mainstream media to tell the full story. By being on the ground and speaking directly with locals, we can follow the facts and provide you with accurate information, clearing up the falsehood circulating online. We have launched a special website, thetruthaboutguadeloupe.com, where you can help support our travel expenses. We are traveling on tight budget and we will be on the ground for just 24 hours. Guadeloupe is a French island, an overseas department of France, and we will provide full coverage in both French and English. Stay tuned for updates and consider supporting our mission if you believe it's important to shed light on this crucial story.
She left like at a moment's notice, and it's not easy to get there. It is, if I'm looking at this map properly, near the British Virgin Islands. Is that right? Sort of by Antigua and Barbuda, I think.
Okay.
So, I mean, who else was going to send a journalist there but us? So if somebody wants to offset Alexa's trip, go to the truthaboutguadeloupe.com.
Yeah, especially, Sheila, too, when anti-Christian rhetoric is very much in vogue in certain circles.
Yes, for sure. All right, so I just wanted to let everybody know what Alexa was doing.
Well, good for Alexa.
Yeah. Does she ever stop working, by the way? Like, never. She works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If she's not out in the field, she's working on a video somewhere, like sitting at her desk working on a video. We're rapidly running out of time.
Yes.
Let's go to the Daily Cringe. I think we hit all the headliners.
Yep.
So the Daily Cringe is, of course, Olivia Chow. She is the worst, most embarrassing mayor in Canada right now. And she was booed while leading, please tell me she wasn't dancing, the South Etobicoke Santa Claus Parade. Okay, let's watch.
Santa Claus, have some shame! Boo! Santa Claus. Shame on you! Shame on you, America! Santa Claus, have some shame!
You know, Sheila, never did I think I would live long enough to watch footage from a Santa Claus parade in which people are booing. It's usually the most family-friendly thing. You know, the kids are so excited. We're waiting for the big red guy to come. But the X factor is...
If I was expecting Santa and I got Olivia Chow, I'd be booing. Good grief.
She is kind of dressed up, what, as Mrs. Claus or an elf or something?
You know what? Let's just be glad she's dressed. Because she loves a good costume. She loves to gyrate. Which Caravana? That's the one where she was scantily clad?
Yep.
And she is a woman of a certain vintage, okay? You got to stay covered up once you hit a certain hormonal milestone, lady. Like,
well, that's the thing. Caravana, Pride, that's in the summertime, Sheila. December, little too chilly. Oh, look at that.
That is too much old lady groin.
Old lady.
Stop.
I'm glad you said that and not me.
Why?
But
I'm not one for trigger warnings, but next time, Olivia, you better toss a girl a warning, because it's just that like whole, this part of a 65-year-old lady is just not it. It's not for me. I do look forward to the Ben Bankus voiceover of Olivia Chow getting booed, though. That'll be a delight.
I wonder if it was registering, Sheila, that the people were booing because she was leading the parade? Or was she wondering, why are the people like looking behind her? Who are they booing?
I feel like she's probably like, who are they booing? It's never her. All right, so we've got some chats. We'll get to those and then we'll wrap the show because I got to get a video in. JP Alberta first, $10. I only see one path for me, my adult children, and my grandchildren. Is that independence?
And yeah, I'm. That's a cliffhanger, and that would be. Please answer.
Well, Alberta first, I think.
Okay.
By the way, I've got 2 books coming out on independence.
Oh.
Very quickly. You're gonna want them. They're independence books, but they're fun stocking stuffers. Of course, for Albertans, because Alberta first, but also for our Saskatchewan friends. They can't be left behind when Alberta gets raptured under this godforsaken country. We can't leave them behind. So there's a book coming for you guys too, and I would love for you to help me get my book to the top of the Amazon bestseller list in, I don't know, political science, whatever. Even in stationery. I'll take stationery. But wouldn't it be great if we had 3 bestsellers in December?
Nice. And Sheila, let me ask you, since you are in Alberta, what exactly does Alberta first mean? Does that mean a separate country, or does that mean becoming the 51st state?
I think actually there is less intensity to join the United States. A lot of people feel like, look, why trade one king for another? Although, as we know, the states have a whole heck of a lot more autonomy in the United States than provinces do within our confederation. But I think that people are more focused on the task at hand, and that is snipping our way out of here. So I think that's first, and then those conversations will happen after. But, you know, there are people, we love our American friends. We really do. We feel a lot more culturally aligned north to south than we do east to west. But for a lot of people, that doesn't mean we want to join them. It just means that we don't hate you like the rest of the country seems to be captured by this liberal colonialist hate on for our American friends. We don't feel that way. We just don't.
Yeah. And, you know, Sheila, as you know, I lived for 2 years in Alberta, and my impression was it is easily the most American of all the provinces. So I don't think it's such a stretch about being a 51st state. And by the way, if I had Donald Trump's ear, I would say to him, hey, drop this Canada being the 51st state. First of all, it's completely stupid that the 51st state would be bigger than all 50 states put together. But be careful what you wish for because of the number of leftists here. Why don't you cherry pick your states, namely Alberta and Saskatchewan, both of which are resource rich, both of which in the Electoral College would be Republican votes for forever. That's where I would go, and leave the loony left and central and eastern Canada to its own. What say you, Sheila?
You want the Americans to pick apart our carcass like scavengers? Okay. But yeah, I mean, why would the Americans want a bunch of Gavin Newsoms and more Mamdanis? Like you just saw Olivia Chow. Do you want that?
Yeah.
Think about it. Think about it. Now, like whatever the relationship is, if Albertans decide for themselves to leave, that's up to us. And I mean, whatever the relationship will be with the rest of Canada, also up to us. So anyway.
And by the way, Sheila, I think it's more real, the separatist movement in Alberta, than it is in Quebec right now, I think, with demographic changes. And let us not forget when the Quebec separatists start using those weasel words, well, not independence, merely sovereignty association, translation, yeah, we're going to be an independent country, but we're keeping our fingers in the taxpayer cash register to take advantage of the social programs, things like supply management. No. If you're going to go, you go. No strings attached.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny is I forget who reported it. the Quebec Premier
Blanchette?
meeting with David Eby in BC to gang up against Alberta. Ugh. You know, for a guy who's elected to flex his muscles within Confederation to get as much Quebec sovereignty as possible, he sure wants to keep the rest of us under the thumb of Confederation, doesn't he?
Wasn't that media? When I read that story, Sheila, I couldn't believe it. In fact, you know what it reminded me?
I can, because he's jealous of us. Because if somebody's going to leave, it's not him. We might actually do the thing that they've been threatening for a long time because we actually want to go and you don't. It's not a blackmail mechanism here.
You know, I would go beyond strange bedfellows. Once upon a time, I don't think they publish it anymore. There was a comic book called Marvel Team Up. So Spider-Man would team up with the Human Torch. There'd be a story. And then they did a spin-off of it called Marvel Supervillain Team Up. This would be the cover for Marvel Supervillain Team Up. Those two loony leftists.
They're both just so jealous of us that Blanchette all of a sudden becomes a Federalist just to keep us down. Screw that guy. Like, unreal. Like, you expect this out of Eby, right? Because he's just a socialist weirdo, and Blanchette to some extent is too. But I thought he was like a sovereigntist first. But I guess just for Quebec, not for the rest of us. That's
Astonishing.
a jealous man. Very jealous.
Wow.
All right. Got a couple more. Wild Freedom 7. It seems the chance of Alberta separating is very low. With that attitude, maybe.
Yeah. Well, that's throwing gas on the fire, isn't it, Sheila?
What do you think the chances of Alberta separating in the upcoming referendum question in 2026? Look, I've seen polling where it's like 35, 40%, depends on what you're calling independence. I think right now you're going to get the voices of no just crush it down on Alberta, thanks to Thomas Lukaszuk and his stupid Forever Canada petition actually becoming a sovereigntist question. What a guy. Thank you, Thomas Lukaszuk. We're going to build a bronze statue of you outside the new Capitol in Lloydminster.
Isn't that amazing?
What a dunce. What an absolute dunce. Anywho, I think if there's an education campaign, and that Canadians do not become scared, or Canadians, Albertans, I don't care if the rest of you are scared. If Albertans do not become scared, because that fear campaign, that Project Fear, is what flipped the Quebec referendum on like 55,000 votes. And the reason I know this is because I'm currently reading through the documents that were prepared in the event of a referendum and the sort of the post-mortem of the Quebec referendum, because I'm trying to think of what Albertans can learn from this. You know, like they're going to scare us about the stock market, but let me give you a little bit of hope. The Quebec referendum campaign was analog. Friends, we're beyond digital here. We're gone into AI. And so it's a lot easier for people to become engaged, to become convinced, and to meme post their way into independence. I was going to say something else. I know a lot of you out there are sort of bewildered, if you're on X, by the most Albertan man in the world. He is an AI creation, and he has been for a long time a Instagram sensation from the Rise of Alberta account. And it's very much like the Dos Equis commercial where it's like the most interesting man in the world. Well, we have the most Alberta man in the world. And he's naturally he's a cowboy, and he doesn't believe in climate change. He's great. Like, okay, maybe let's just watch one so you get it.
Is giving his neighbor a beer for helping brand cattle. He doesn't vote for politicians who visit Alberta. He votes for the ones who never left. He doesn't want Ottawa to listen. He wants Alberta to leave. He doesn't own any guns, not since that tragic boating accident. Strangely, the lake's never been found either. He once sang Alberta Bound at a Lethbridge bar. and the crowd made it the town's new anthem. He showed up to an anti-pipeline rally and left with half the crowd chanting, "Build it now." He doesn't do diversity training. He gets up at 5 a.m. and works with whoever shows up on time. He and Keith Wilson once debated Ottawa's authority. Ottawa lost unanimously. They tried to host Drag Queen Story Hour in his town. He showed up with a branding iron and a Bible. It got canceled. He doesn't want to fix Canada. He wants to free Alberta. He is the most Albertan man in the world.
I kind of want to move back to Alberta.
That account is wildly popular on Instagram. It's very confusing to certain boomers who are not familiar with AI. Now the AI project has now moved over to X, and people are very confused because there have been photographs of me where I'm swapped out and the most Albertan man in the world is standing in my place being interviewed by Ezra or whatever. Wow. But what I'm saying to you is the young people are more engaged than the Quebec referendum, and the war is digital. And that they very nearly won the referendum just at dinner tables and town halls. We're in a different place right now, friends. And so I think there's more opportunity for engagement than ever before. Yeah, this is the one. So where the most Albertan man is standing there. That's where I was standing. We were filming the Ezra Levant show, and the people behind the most Albertan man swapped me out and put him in. And then people were posting photos with him all through the UCP AGM, and the boomers are very confused. Don't be confused. Like, yeah, there's Keith and Marty up north. And anyways, these photos were all over. It's fun. Everybody settle down. People are like, that's misinformation. Do you know he's not real? Like, he didn't take a branding iron and a Bible to a drag queen story hour.
Yeah, I think you do prison time in Canada if you did that, right, Sheila?
Yeah.
Especially if you're a pastor. Yeah.
A pastor has just spent 4 days in jail for not apologizing to a blue-haired librarian in Calgary over showing up at a drag queen story hour. So trust me, the AI guy didn't go with a Bible and a branding iron. You guys just have some fun, please. Don't be so uptight.
Yeah, what a concept. Sheila, do we have any more super chats?
Two more and I'll stop. Justin Ingram, 2906. $20. Holy cow. Thank you so much. Hey, Rebels, thanks for making me smile and my day when I'm feeling down. Today, I had to put my dog down last week. David, you and I are dog lovers. He was 10 years old. Keep up the good work. Love you guys. Standing up for truth.
I'm so sorry to hear that about a dog. A dog really does become part of the family. And, but if it was in pain, if life was a misery for it, you probably did him a favor.
Yeah. My dog's under the desk right now. It's not fighting with the cat anymore. Knocking around my flag. So anyway, we're all caught up now.
Oh, okay. Well, Sheila, thank you so much. And hey, thank you folks for tuning in, and thank you for those that gave us a super chat. It's how we keep the lights on. Sheila, Gunn, Reid, and the lovely Lise Myrtle, they'll be here tomorrow.
Acclaimed LGBTQAI plus children's author.
Acclaimed LGBTQ2S plus author Lise Myrtle will be here tomorrow. I think they'll be talking about rainbow-hued horses for some reason, so horses you don't want to miss that.
You know, it's so funny. So many people aren't getting the joke. They're like, why are you publishing it? And it's like, Lisa's video is 90 seconds. Just watch the video, and hopefully you can let yourself in on the joke. But people are like, why are you publishing a book with a horse and lipstick on it? It's because he's actually just a happy, healthy little horse. And that is what his friends convinced him.
Sheila.
It got you too.
It got me at first. I went, this is a family values kind of book. Look at the art here. Look at the title. It's mixed messages. And then it was explained, it's meant to be mixed messages. And you know what? Nothing beats success. #1 in its category. Correct, Sheila?
#1 in its category, I think, internationally, not just in Canada.
Unbelievable. By the way, the art is beautiful. Who illustrated this book?
I was going to say his name. I don't know if she says his name. Lisa's husband. He's an acclaimed LGBTQAI plus graphic designer.
That is fantastic. What a skill. Look at that art, Yeah. But as the saying goes, folks, don't judge a book by its cover, because when you get to the end, that's the real story. In any event, Lisa and Sheila will be here. I think I'll be back on Friday for the Rebel News live stream panel discussion. In the meantime, as always, stay safe and stay sane.
Who is your favorite Rebel News reporter? We're having our annual Rebby Awards 2025 edition, and the most exciting category is Viewer's Choice. You get to vote. Who's the best Rebel? Now, I find that an impossible question to answer, like asking which of your own children you love the most, but it is a fun way for our viewers to show our journalists how much they appreciate their work. From our coverage of Mark Carney's election, to the anti-Semitic crime wave across Canada, to the Ostrich battle, to fighting for free speech, our journalism has never been more important, and our team of reporters has never been more courageous. Go to www.viewerschoiceawards.ca. Each Rebel News viewer gets just one vote, so cast it wisely. Vote now. We will announce the results on Friday, December 12th. Now, I know it's hard to choose your favorite Rebel. They're all great, but it's in the spirit of friendly competition, and I genuinely want to know what our viewers think. The CBC would never let the public rank their reporters. Go to www.viewerschoiceawards.ca. Vote now, and good luck.